Joining us now is political analyst Jim Warren, executive editor of NewsGuard, which rates the credibility of news and information sites. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
Yes. Speak softly.
So, well, that's your first point. You say a big sigh of relief at the White House. Did it go that well for Biden? I'm hearing mixed reviews with a couple of slip-ups.
Well, a sigh of relief. As a result of the debate performance and then the interview with George Stephanopoulos, the bar was set really, really low. And I think he definitely cleared it. He, showed a good deal of authority, as Eric's piece said, particularly on foreign policy, which may or may not be a subject which a lot of folks care about. He did project a certain sense of authority, which I think is good, but is that going to be good enough given polling and doubts about his age?
Next point is a big sigh of relief at Mar-a-Lago. Why is that?
I think, ironically, the Trump camp was probably sitting there going, whew, they don't want any surprises. They know Joe Biden. They think they can cream him, and as long as the media is as focused as we are on every single word Biden says, on every single possible stumble, that means there's less focus on Trump being Trump, which yesterday included totally gratuitous remarks about various folks, including Biden and Nancy Pelosi, included his usual string of misstatements. That sort of puts him out of the line of fire and leaves everything on Biden to, in their minds, likely implode.
I heard you kind of, audibly sighing when the political analyst in Eric's piece said, we have until September, there's no rush. You don't agree?
No, I think that's very old thinking. People like myself used to say, well, it's not until Labor Day. I mean, I was at a baseball tournament in Joliet last night, and it's July, and people don't seem to be talking about politics. But I think, particularly in an era of social media and with two people who are so well known to the electorate, they don't have to wait till after Labor Day till formal campaigns. They've got very entrenched views of these guys.
All right, point number, what point are we on?
Three.
We missed one. We missed number 3, study and defiance.
Yeah, I mean, he dug in his heels. I've got a job to finish, and that sort of suggested his self-confidence that kind of, I think now borders on arrogance. And he also said during that streak of the press conference that there's no single aide who's come up to him, and there's no poll that he's seen that suggests that he's in real trouble. If that's the case, he's not getting good advice because the polling is absolutely clear when it comes to anxiety about his age.
What about all the Democrats that are lining up for him to step down?
Yeah, well, my congressman, Mike Quigley, who's no firebrand, he's no AOC, covers a district that goes from Navy Pier all the way up to Barrington. He's called for him to get out. And yesterday, the drip, drip, drip continued with Brad Schneider, a very solid guy from Highland Park who covers the, in the North Burbs. He says he should get out. And is that something he's doing independently? No. He spent a lot of time on July 4th going to a lot of parades, listening to a lot of Democrats in the north suburbs and going, ooh.
All right, let's tackle these last two real quick. Results, not rhetoric, and the Biden-Trump bottom line.
Yeah, that was a clear Biden refrain. Look at my actions, not the way I say it, which is all well and good, but that's all people are going to be focusing on right now is how he says it because of their anxiety about the age. And the bottom line, I think, would be this. This is a pretty static race if you look at the latest data. Put aside electoral college stuff and where the electoral votes are. It's roughly about 46 to 46, but that's where it stops being even vaguely good for Biden. The problem is that a majority of Democrats want him to step out. The problem is that 8 out of 10 registered voters, Democrat or Republican, think he's too old. And really scary if you're him, the number of Democrats who think that he has the mental acuity that's superior to Trump's has gone down. It's only about 32% of Democrats who think that. So put that all together, and he's got a problem that is not going to be magically solved after Labor Day.
All right, Jim, thanks for joining us.
Jim.
Appreciate it.